We've got 2014 Vauxhall Corsa D with a boot lock failure. Fails to open when you push the button. I'm going to try and fix it. You have to hold the button in and it does release the catch, but it doesn't do it all the time. It takes several attempts to sort out. So let's give it one more go. Open. Hold. So the first mission is being able to get the boot open. That just took me a good 2 minutes. Opening and closing the boot on the controller and then just holding the button in. So it stopped doing something now. So we'll try and work out what we need to do. So I'm taking a complete punt with this. So I'm going to remove the Torx fittings to remove the interior panel section. And then we will remove that, hopefully. Just remove the rear panel. That's a T20. Those two fixings, which has exposed the whole rear, so I can see what's going on a bit better and hopefully make accessing things easier. So just undone those fixings. They're a T40. I'll just push that back through and deconnect that, see whether or not the new one works. So it's difficult filming that because of obviously angles. I've made myself another den because it's raining still, so bear with us. In true Vauxhall fashion, there's another little clip which is a pain to remove, so you have to, that focuses in on there, you can just push that in and that will release the clip because the actual tab doesn't work for it. Just compare to see whether or not the new one is the same. Again, this was 20, I think it was £20. Replacements, it's not mega expensive. I can't see any differences on that, so we're going to swap them over and see if it cures that. If not, it's the actual switch on the handle. So I've got that in. You can hear us over the rain. Just remember the orientation this goes. It's quite easy to lose your bearings. And you just have to position that in. Just use the markings on the back of the studs for your exact position. If you can see where the paint's damaged behind, you probably just need to adjust it so it hits the striking plate better or correctly when you put it all back together. So just fix that in place. Just give it a test run and see what it does before I shut the boot. So we'll see what happens. Right, so we're going to engage that now, shut the boot and see whether or not I can get it back open again. That's the other side of the switch. You've got two 8mm fixings there, which will undo and remove the switch. So that's interesting. So I've just removed that. There's quite a bit of corrosion on that. I wonder if I can clean all that up. That was the problem all the time. Again, there's a fiddly little clip that you've got to undo or release to pull that off. But as I say, we'll carry on removing the actual handle and have a look, see if there's any other corrosion on that. So we've removed the handle. I'm just going to have a little tidy up. See if we can clean up some of that. Some contact cleaner. So you've got two 8mm fixings. Just tie that in to the back of the boot, and then you have a security fastening at the back, which beefs it up a little bit. So just being able to prise these out, that actual push button bit here, which removes like that, should enable me to remove the switch. As I say, it's a bit moisture in there, so again we'll see whether or not we can get the switch out, but we'll tidy it up. Now looking at it, you can remove that switch. Sorry for the videoing, a bit difficult to sort out, but you've got a couple of, you can see them, you can release those little hooks. Yep, and that switch comes out, just like that. So we're going to give that a bit of a clean up, the contacts in there, and put it all back together. Part number on there. It's cleaned up quite well. I mean, the contacts in, the connections in there look quite good. We'll put all this back together and then look at the connections on the connector in the boot, because I say that was quite corroded. Save all this up off. It's an opportunity to clean other stuff. I know no one sees it, but can't do a reasonable job. You're always going to get algae and stuff grow behind the door handles, so we can clean that on the car. That should click in like that. Right, that goes in there. That pushes in. You can hear that click. That's the boot handle, so we'll tidy that up quickly and then have a look at the boot connection. So just clean that up. Rain has started up again. That's probably cleaner than the rest of the car at the minute. And so we'll go about putting the handle back in and check that connection. So just tidied that up. It does look a lot better if it goes in focus than before. I might just put a bit of Tez tape around this just to protect it, because I dare say you get quite a bit of condensation in the panel behind the cover in the boot. So we'll protect that a bit more and then we'll pull it all back together. So again, if you can hear me over the rain, just absolutely lashing it down now. Just use some of that Tez tape to protect that connection. I'll just put a bit of gasket sealant around that. You don't have to do that, but I know that I've dislodged the handle. I've also put a little bit around those. There are fibre washers or plastic sort of washers there to act as a seal, but again, you do not need to do that. I've done that with this. I'm just doing a bit over the top really. So it's absolutely bucketing it down. The things you do for car maintenance. So I just screwed that back in, 8mm nuts. So the silicone just protects it a bit more. I dare say it's a common issue on the Vauxhall and probably on other cars. Put the Tez tape in on the connection and clean that up. Just going to push that back in and then we'll test it to see what happens. So that's located. We'll give it a whirl. Could say it's a bit wet, couldn't you? So just tighten that back up to get the light in the right place, if not. So I've used some gasket sealant the other side of that just to double make sure that it doesn't leak through. I dare say it's a common issue on the Vauxhalls and other cars. But I have disturbed those seals or washers on those, so they're 8mm nuts. I've used some Tez tape to protect that cable, clean that connection block. Everything seems okay with that, so we're just going to test it really, see what happens, but I'd like to think that that's sorted out the issue. So we've just locked it, so we're going to see if that works. We'll give it a couple more goes. Couple of locks. Open. I think that's fixed it. You're going to see on there though, like how the rain dribble down and sit in that handle, get through onto that connection. So maybe using that gasket sealant as a additional bit of protection is a good little tip. So I've cleaned all that up. I've put a bit of maintenance spray in there just to go a little extra mile. Cleaned it as best I can. Strike plate is cleaned. Shut that down. I put the bag there with a couple of magnets just to protect that handle, try and keep the rain off it while the sealant cures, because obviously it's bucketing it down with rain for me. Fingers crossed to say that that's sorted that issue. So that's a boot lock issue not opening on a Corsa D. This is on a 2014 plate SRI 1.4. So that's everything I've used, along with some contact cleaner and some WD. We've got a T40 which does the fixings for the actual boot mechanism itself. T20 does the 2 fixings for the plastic boot panel that needs removing. These couple of like trim sort of pick tools. 8mm socket for the 2 nuts that hold the plate and securing fixings for the boot handle. Some of this Tez tape to protect the cable, bit of gasket, a knife for the tape, and that locking mechanism. I would suggest, if this lasts, that the main problem was the connections being corroded that join into this. So I would say that there's nothing wrong with this boot lock. So try all that before, really. Try to do a step-by-step breakdown on how to do it. Check the connection first, the corrosion, etc., and moisture, and then potentially you've saved yourself 20 quid, because that's how much that boot locking mechanism cost. I've jumped the gun a little bit and brought that. I say for me it was only 20 quid, it's worth a punt. Our boot lid gets a lot of action and abuse, so it was maybe an obvious contender to say it was faulty, but on hindsight and looking back, it was the connection that was corroded. But thanks for watching.